Mayday, pioneers. Mayday. Mayday. It's the 1st of May, and I'm sending you all high vibrations and good ass energy, pioneers. So take that and take that. This whole first week of May is going to be something to pay close attention to as we get ready to transition through this very ritualistic time period. As we get ready to transition through Beltane and Muwan, as we get ready to exit out of this 40-day ritualistic season of sacrifice utilized by the occult. We know that May 1st is MayDay, the birthday of the Illuminati. And we find that it's very interesting when we look at today and dating it back to this start of the 40-day season of sacrifice. We started that period on 3/2/2, that skull and bones date this year, and it led all the way up until yesterday, MayDay, May 1st, the birthday of the Illuminati. And that was a day that, when added up, 5 plus 1 plus 20 plus 22, we got the 48 in a date numerology. And that tied us right back into, well, the Illuminati, whose birthday was yesterday. So when we type out Illuminati, we get the 48. And all this is people that are illuminated, giving us that same 48, that 120, and that 69 in matching numerology, that balance, that yin and yang right here. So very powerful that we see on the Illuminati's birthday matching date numerology as well. We know, again, don't get it twisted. You can become illuminated individuals as well, just like these people. But all you have to do is unlock your pineal gland and become an illuminated individual. Just unlock your third eye. Just very important that we pay attention to this. Today, again, yesterday was the start of Beltane, and we know that there was a 13-day preparation leading into this time period. Every year we go through this very important April 19th to May 1st ritual day of sacrifice, etc., all during, again, this 40-day time period. So something I'd highly suggest you go and do your own due diligence and research on. It's a very interesting read. Again, May 1st is Beltane, which is the start of and the signal of the between point of the spring equinox and the summer solstice. So we just hit the halfway point between these two astrological events. And that's something we'll be talking about today is, all this importance will lead into the importance of May every year, as well as the importance of May during a Shemitah year. And the Shemitah is something I'm going to be breaking down in depth for you all today. I know it's something that I bring up never ending on repeat in my videos a lot, is this 7-year sabbatical release cycle. And it's something that is very important financially and in these markets, in the economy, on the world stage, war, etc. We see so much happen in this realm that we live in during a 7-year sabbatical release cycle, the Shemitah year. So something that was very interesting yesterday on the Illuminati's birthday, the end of a 40-day time period, taking us right back to 3/2/2. Well, we saw Bitcoin yesterday on May 1st close a daily candle up 2.23%. And that ties us right back into, again, skull and bones and the 3/2/2. Bitcoin being up yesterday on the Illuminati's birthday, 2.23%. Tying us right back into our recent Super Bowl where we saw the Rams, okay? We know Baal is a symbol of the bull or the ram, okay? And we saw the Rams win the Super Bowl 23-20, again giving us that 2-2-3, the mirror of 3-2-2. So continuing to make these 2-2-3 and 3-2-2 connections in our work this year. Very important connection. Tying us back into skull and bones. Paying tribute to Beltane and Baal right here. So, again, we can do our research. We know the word ball is Baal. Okay, so during the football game, you pass around the Baal. Sports is very important to the elite and the Illuminati. It's all scripted and dates back to the Roman Colosseum. So we basically see gladiators on the world stage today fighting against each other in a arena. So something that I'm going to bring up to you all, they harvest your energy through this. So again, do your research on Beltane, Baal. Anytime we see that word Baal, B-E-L, this is what it's tying us back into right here, is Baal. And I'll break that all down by the numbers when we get to that part of this video. So just that percentage move when we pay attention right here, 2-3% yesterday, MayDay. It's very beautiful to see this play out. Again, that was tying us right back into this 40-day time period, taking us back to 3-2-2. So very important right here, 40 days. So before I get too involved into this video, we know today, May 2nd, is the start of Muon. Where'd it go? Let's find it here. For those of you that are unaware with the Mayan zodiac, we can call it, it's right here. Muon, May 2nd to May 21st. It's the start of Muon, or the Moan owl. Again, this is all tying back into symbology here that the elites utilize and follow. So this owl is a very important symbol on the world stage. We know in Washington, D.C., there is part of our structure in the way Washington is built. If you zoom out from a helicopter view, you see the resemblance of an owl. It's the Muon owl. It's the symbol of the owl that you see Drake use, etc. Just something on the world stage that we're seeing symbolic and utilized esoterically and hidden in plain sight, basically. Again, you would not be able to see this owl structure that the streets are built in Washington, D.C. without zooming out from a helicopter view. So something we'll be talking a lot about tonight is, again, going in depth on the Shemitah and the Jewish Hebrew sabbatical year and release cycle, breaking it all down by the numbers and giving you some behind the scenes detail of how we're breaking this year down. Just trying to catch you all up. And we know we're currently in this 7-year cycle of 5,782. And I know you've probably heard me speak about this for quite some time, like a broken record. But I'm definitely excited to be able to break it down in depth for you all, and just start off by basically saying none of this is financial advice. This is just me doing my own due diligence and research, me sharing with you things that have happened in the past, analyzing the cyclical nature of this market and how this 7-year sabbatical cycle plays its role in these markets. And it's definitely not me to say what will happen in the future or what's going to happen this year. It's just a combination of data that we've already seen previously, so that maybe we can all make our best decision moving forward. So I definitely want to go ahead and get into it right here. This current Shemitah year we're in is 5,782. That's adding confluence to the 2022 year that we are in. Most of us in America would write that today's date 5/2/2022, 22, correct? So this 22 is a very powerful number we're going to be talking about tonight. We know it's the second master number, 11 being the first, 22 being the second, 33 being the third. You may have heard me bring this up before. And 44 and 55, any double number after that is considered a power number in the rules of numerology and gematria. So today I'm going to focus on this number 22, since we're in the Gregorian year of 2022 and the Hebrew New Year of 5782, giving us that 22. We know this 22 is considered by some to be the master destroyer and master creator number, the master architect number. And the funny thing is, when we do build something out of architectural structural design, and if it's not sound, we might have to destroy it and start all over. And so that's very unique that we could perceive this number as the master builder and the master destroyer number. The duality number, and that's something we break down and try and master on the Daily Candle Close News, is duality, whether that be with society or our mindset or financially or our consciousness or spirituality. It's very important to pay attention to this duality nature. When we have this nature of builder, destroyer, it's all pent up on duality. And that's something, like I said, we want to master and not be mastered by. We don't want to be mastered by duality. So this is me just giving you a view through the lenses of Professor Abe, Coach Abe, Honest Abe here on the Daily Candle Close News. We know right now we see some duality on the world stage. Russia, Ukraine, causing some very chaotic nonsense, harvesting energy all the way over here in the United States of America. People working their daily jobs are going in, and this is all they're wanting to talk about, and they don't even live there. So it comes back to mind your fucking business. It really has nothing to do with us until things start affecting us in America. Then we got our own battles to fight here on the homeland, to take our country back, point blank period. So if we go back in time, we see that this 7-year cycle is not only about money and finance, it's about havoc and wars and conflict and restructuring of societies, and complete takeovers of empires. It's a very important year that we continue to overlook as humanity, as the masses. But sharing this on my channel last year, it was something that not a lot of people had heard of, and it allowed them to look outside the box, to know the game so they couldn't be played, to get in tune with what was really happening on the world stage over the last 2 years leading into this year. And they were able to watch it play out since last year, play by play by play, and set themselves up to be okay with the energy and the volatility that we're recently seeing in these markets and on the world stage, economically, and the news, etc. And when we were talking about this 7-year cycle last year, and we are now seeing how things have unfolded on the world stage, if you've followed, you've been able to see how things have been gone so far, and you've been able to make these connections to why we see these things take place when we do see them. That's all it's about, is understanding why we're seeing what we're seeing, the work that we're doing here. So going ahead and getting started on breaking this down, this 7-year Shemitah cycle, and going even deeper, we're going to start with Saturn, Kronos, the god of harvest, Father Time, our eminent ruler and overlord on this realm. We know the cult of Saturn plays a huge role in this realm, and the implementations we see taking place on the world stage. So when we're talking about the Shemitah and the sabbatical year, the Sabbath day, Saturn's day, it all comes back to Saturday or Saturn and the Shabbat. And I'm sorry if I don't pronounce that correctly. The Shabbat, I'm not a fluent speaker in Judaism or Hebrew. It's just the knowledge and wisdom being shared here that we need to take out of this. But this is all about the day of rest in Judaism and the seventh day. So we get again that theme of seven here. And we know how important and biblical that seven number is. We know Saturn is the grim reaper. He carries the scythe, the sickle, okay? He's death. So always seen with a child, sometimes eating the child, very deep and gruesome when you do your own due diligence and research here. But we'll continue to break this down by the code and share this with you all. Again, this being the Sabbath and the Shabbat. We're using numerology and gematria, a utilized code for more than 2,000 years by the occult. It's a alphanumerical cipher that gives you the code and numerologic value of a letter, word, name, phrase, etc. So something very, very important to pay attention to. We know math is undeniable, irrefutable, and cannot be, broken, basically. Math is very true to this world. Our English language eventually derived from the Greeks, etc. Everything derived from numbers and stars before then. So all this is very important. Something I'm trying to educate people here on the Daily Candle Close News, and want to continue to break down the importance of. When we take these individual letters and get these alphanumerical ciphers, like in the English ordinal or the full reduction, the reverse full reduction, or the Chaldean, the purest cipher. I like to use the main four and the Chaldean. But anyways, there's an importance behind my system. It's not the system. There are many systems to use to decode, but this is the system that I'm using. So I'm sharing with you a behind the scenes view of what we do here on the Daily Candle Close News. We'll go ahead and, explain these three ciphers a little bit more, and just keeping it within the cipher is basically the best way to decode, trying to match the full reduction or the English ordinal, just making matches to the Chaldean, that would be great. What I like to use the most is the purest cipher and making connections there, but connections are connections if you get them crisscross, etc. But high in Judaism, meaning life, again, 18 meaning alive, being this symbol right here. We know how important this 18 number is in Judaism. It's a very spiritual number in Judaism. It means life, alive. And we know we can't make life without making love. So, very important. We discussed that here on the Daily Candle Close News. Something we want to focus on is this number 18 right now, giving us some very powerful connections that we're going to see tonight moving forward in this video. We know Jews sometimes give gifts in money of multiples of 18. So very important. We know we can also connect origins behind our decode with the numbers as well. I might break examples of that down later. And we'll go ahead and go back and continue to break this down. Again, adding more confluence to this 18. When we talk about Shemitah and we type this 7-year sabbatical cycle, the Sabbath year cycle, out, we get 18 in Chaldean, the purest cipher. So very important. We know one way we can perceive this 18 number is it being the infinite connection to source, the one being the matrix body, the Jesus body, the human body, okay? The connection to source, infinity, 8, right there beside it, okay? Being the analema or the toroidal field, the infinity symbol that we know Meta changed its, symbol to, etc. But this 8 being the infinite connection to source, because every day that we are alive, that's what life is. We are the infinite connection to source. So very important. So again, when we type out the Shemitah and we get the 18 in Chaldean, it just adds more confluence to what we were just talking about, the 7-year sabbatical cycle every year. And one thing that's crazy is when we type that out in Hebrew, and again, sorry for any mispronunciation, but the Shivit, which literally means seventh for this 7-year sabbatical year, well, we get the 18 as well when we type that out in Hebrew, in the Hebrew reduction. So again, in English, I try to pay attention to the English ordinal and the reverse full reduction, the full reduction, more than going to the Jewish cipher or the Hebrew cipher or the Satanic, etc. I speak the English language. So when I decode in Hebrew, I'm going to make sure that I'm using the Hebrew language and the Hebrew reduction or the etc. So very important. Like if you're decoding in Greek, you can possibly use Greek isopsophy. So very important. We know we can add this 18 number up and break it down one more step and get the 9. That's why you see it here. 1 plus 8 is 9, and that's the end of the number sequence. In most religions and most cultures, they believe 9 to be the number of completion or the number of spatial infinity. Very important right there. Ultimately, the end of the number sequence, though, we know all 10 is a repeat of the binary code 1 and 0. So very important right here. Ultimately ties us back into the sun, you guys, that 9 does. It's just all very important. But again, I wanted to continue to show us how we tie back into Chronos and Saturn, Father Time. The Shavit in Hebrew, again, literally means 7th. We know that's tying us into the 7-year sabbatical cycle right here. And when we type out 7th in English ordinal, we get 93, which matches Saturn, the English ordinal of 93 we get there. Again, Father Time, one ring to rule them all, you guys. So tying us back into everything that we've talked about from the start of this video right here, Chronos and Father Time. So we know that we had another 7-year sabbatical cycle in 1993. So that's not surprising right here when we go back in time and we see how long this has been taking place for decades, you guys. It's amazing. It's like either organic synchronicity or really utilized by a group of individuals, right? When we type out Shemitah in Hebrew, it literally, we know it means release. And when we type out release in the Hebrew language, in the Hebrew reduction, we're getting that 22, matching us back to the 5782 Jewish Hebrew sabbatical year we are in, giving us the 22 and the 2022 year. So it's very important to continue to see how this is just playing out consistently, time and time again. So let's talk about some possible considerations for what could happen next in the Shemitah cycle. We know May is typically the biggest volatile month outside of October, September, the November time frame for the 7-year sabbatical cycle in the charts going back in time. And we see that the potential final bullish moments for the cycle based on the data in the charts could be May 12th to May 23rd. So very close within the next 2 weeks, which is why I wanted to try and get this out at the beginning of May for you all. Something that we'll be talking about in this video tonight is the last 3 Shemitah years. So getting this sent out really quickly and hopefully viewed by you all gets you prepared for the potential volatility we could see coming up. Back in 2015, in the logistic China crisis that we saw take place, and the market crisis we saw take place last Shemitah cycle, it was, we saw the top potential final bullish moments for this cycle come in right there at the end of the Taurus zodiac, May 20th. So very important, right there around the new moon of May that year. We know in 2008, May 19th was the day of the full moon, and it was a Shemitah year. So again, bringing us our final bullish moments of the cycle, basing the data back in the charts, going back in time, in 2001 when we saw the World Trade Centers get blown up on live television, you guys. How about that corruption? All during the dot-com bubble. So leading into war, just very similar to this year, right? A 22-year anniversary since the dot-com bubble. How about that? But we saw some volatility around that May 22nd time period, tying us all into the end of the tropical zodiac symbol, the bull. And we know we're interested in exiting out of bull markets, the top of bull markets. So to see stock market tops and bull traps at the end of the tropical Taurus during a Shemitah year is something we have to pay attention to right now this year. We're in the middle of all of this. And we've seen this in the charts time and time again. So something I wanted to share with you all and get you informed on, so you can take all this data and consider how possibly this May could go right here. We know we end May on a new moon as well. So that's going to be very important to take into consideration. We'll talk a little bit about the blood moon eclipse coming up in May as well, or on the 15th and 16th in this video. So definitely very interested to see how this is going to continue to play out. So going back to 2001 right here in the dot-com bubble, in the Shemitah year, when we came up out of this Shemitah, we continued down and went into further lows. So we end the Shemitah in September, you guys. So it took until the next Shemitah 7 years to recover. Okay, and this is the stock market. Remember that, the S&P 500. So same thing, coming into March lows in the Shemitah year of the housing market bubble of 2008, leading into May 19th, a bull trap before leading into lower lows. More forgiving back here than it is right here, but very similar to what Bitcoin's been doing since November, you guys. So something that we need to pay attention to. Not financial advice, and I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen. We'll have to continue to see how this plays out moving forward. Will this repeat? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But this sell in May and walk away thing is not a joke to take lightly in this market. We definitely don't want to play around, especially during this year. For sure. Get this loaded up. And before we get started right here, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about this bull, a little bit more, Taurus, and get a little bit deeper into some of the gematria, making more confluences to that number 22 that we've started talking about in this video. We know that, again, Taurus runs until May 21st. So, again, that is the end of Mu1 that started today, 5-2. And when we type out today and yesterday, adding our numbers to this Taurus giving us that 22 in Chaldean as well. So again, making confluences in the purest cipher to the numbers we're talking about today. This Taurus number is something very important. Again, it's the bull. We're making connections though past the bull to the toroidal field, the analemma, the infinity symbol. So please do your due diligence and research if you don't understand what I'm saying there. It's basically connection to source, us, and infinite energy. But again, that 22 master destroyer, master architect number that we get, and guess what, again, happened 22 years ago, the dot-com bubble, leading into 9/11, leading into war. So think about everything we're witnessing on the world stage, the economy going to shit, the financial crisis that we're witnessing, gas prices, food going up, etc. We ain't seen the likes of it, Leading into next year, the 223 year, tying us back into skull and bones, you guys. It's going to be very important. Tying us right back into that 7-year cycle we'll be exiting out of, entering into next year. So this is all Very important. This is all tying us back into the speculative bubble called cryptocurrency right now. And don't pay attention to the numbers. I'm just typing that out for you. But we know that there's probably only going to be 1 or 200 cryptocurrencies left out of all of these 12,000 plus bullshit tokens. When regulations come in and they wipe most of these cryptos out, in this speculative bubble, we'll only see a few cryptocurrencies remain that play a huge role in the fundamental change of the economy financially. But with all things considered, this is a bubble of nonsense right here in the 7-year sabbatical cycle. And there are a lot of cryptocurrencies that are going into the final days of this blockchain system that will get eliminated, point blank period. And there are paperworks out there by global governments that are sharing their views and their controls and what they own of each asset, and they're showing you how exactly they're going to play this long term. This bubble will pop and a lot will disappear. Magical pixie dust money gone, and it just is what it is. We've got to get rid of this hype and stop believing that our cryptos are going to go up forever, and start learning the craft and the skill and developing a mindset. Stop following content providers that are shilling you cryptos left and right. The Shemitah year is not the time to play around with your money, is where this is all going, is what I'm saying here. This is about protecting yourself during the release year. Okay, so very important. But we'll go ahead and continue to break this all down again. Tying back into everything we were talking about, MayDay yesterday, giving us that very important 12. When we broke this down, we saw that this 69 tied us back into Illuminati right here yesterday, giving us the 69. They gave us the 120. When we dropped the 0 in the rules of numerology and gematria, we would get the 12 that we get in MayDay, MayDay, MayDay. And MayDay 2022, when we type that out, we're getting that 18 that we get right there in Chaldean, tying us into the Shemitah year that we've been talking about. That 75 right here, tying us into cryptocurrency and, MayDay right here. So again, very powerful connections to MayDay. And today is Mu1, the start of the 18th week of the year this year. So again, getting that 18 and that 22 we get in Mu1, all tying us in right here during the Shemitah year, giving us that 18. So all very important right here that we make these connections, and I share with you and I educate you on how this code works. It's undeniable that we see this take place each and every time when we get these events that most people overlook. It's taking place by the code, because it's Kabbalistic black magic at the end of the day. I don't want to get too ahead of myself and get too deep into the minutia and monotony. I just want to talk about, continue talking about some dates to consider for the final bullish moments of this cycle. And we know this is the first May 13th coming up. That is going to be a Friday the 13th, the first Friday the 13th we've had since the World Health Organization shut this world down on March 11th, 2020 for the fake bear flu germ theory C19 nonsense that we witnessed 2 years ago. 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. So this May 13th is going to be a very powerful 2-2-2 connection, and we know that we're in the year of 2022, giving us that 2-2-2, but ultimately this always ties back to order out of chaos, giving us that 2-2-2 connection again. So pay attention to cryptocurrency, giving us that 75, okay? Very important. We'll pay attention to some chaos possibly in cryptocurrency around May 13th, but, and we can make confluence to that, because when we type out Wuhan coronavirus, we get the 2-2-2 and the same 78 we got in order out of chaos. So we see how this is always playing out by the code. You see, We know that this was a very big psyop on the world stage that's still harvesting energy of the masses right now that believe in this nonsense that hasn't even been isolated in any lab on the world stage to prove to you it exists. They're just telling you it does through news articles, etc. Massive fear on the world stage, etc. And people just believe whatever. We debunked germ theory 30 years ago, you guys. So it's nonsense. Again, Wuhan coronavirus giving us the 93 that ties us ultimately all the way back into Saturn, you guys. So again, if you want to blame somebody, I guess you can blame Father Time. It always comes back to him, right? So one date to consider right there is this May 13th date. Just something very, very interesting to me. We know going back to the C-19 crash and the shutdown of the world, when we go to March 11th and we take that day all the way back to September 11th, 2001, where they blew the World Trade Centers up on live television and told you a plane hit it, we see that it was a 222-month connection, not a day more, not a day less. So that very powerful 222 is huge. We're in the Hebrew year, reduced down to 22. Very important. May 13th has the date numerology of 15. Everything ties back to the tiger this year, and that's very important because we're in the year of Jupiter, the tiger stripe planet. So we know the Shemitah, it started at the end of the year of the ox, the end of the year of the bull. So very important, the Shemitah started at the end of the year of the bull, and right now we're transitioning through the bull and Taurus zodiac. So very important, very important. So Shemitah started during the ending of a bull year and will end in the year of the tiger. This exposes a lot of exoteric symbolism for those of you that are following along with what I'm saying here. The significance behind May 15th is 8 months and 8 days since the start of Rosh Hashanah. And we know that is the sabbatical release year that we're talking about, that we use as a pivot point. We know that ties us into Tishri, which is go and do your own due diligence. Very important. This is a time period during Shemitah, etc. I won't break that down too much, but May 15th is tying us back into, again, the 15 we get in Tiger, and we're in the year of the Tiger. That 15 ties us back into Moon. We get that 15 in Moon when we type that out, and that leads us into our next lunar eclipse, which is actually, it's going to be a blood moon eclipse this year, the total lunar eclipse. So very important. These total eclipses are more important to me, especially in the markets when we're viewing the charts, versus a regular monthly new moon, full moon, or a partial solar eclipse. The total eclipses and blood moons, very rare moons, or something that I pay attention to for potential volatility in these markets. But all this ties us back in ultimately to the important connections we're making years and years and years in the charts to the 7-year period around these eclipses, etc. So the next date after the 16th will be I want to talk about May 17th. I guess I'll do it this way then. I thought I had it up here for you guys. We'll talk about May 17th like this, and we'll take it back to February 1st and start from there of this year. Okay. But this is going to be a day that is the 137th day of the year, which we know is the 33rd prime number, and we're in the year of the tiger. More importantly, we know we're in the year of the water tiger. So with this being the day that gives us the 137th day of the year being the 33rd prime number, we know water tiger gives us that 33 in Chaldean. So very important. We know that this continues to tie us into the tiger because this is a 15-week connection to the start of the Chinese New Year, the year of the tiger, okay, being 105 days again, or 15 weeks, giving us that 15. So 2 times right here tying us into the tiger exoterically, which was tying back to a day that left 333 days left in the year, coming out of a day and leading into a day that is the 33rd day of the year. So all these very powerful exoteric connections right here, leading into, obviously May 19th, which has a 66 date numerology. We know how important these power numbers are. Something I'm paying attention to closely. And then obviously May 20th leading into the 21st being the last day of Taurus, being 108 days. And we know how powerful this 108 connection is. We know it is the number of spiritual completion. So this time period right here, all of May is very unique and very powerful. And I think it's why we tend to see these potential volatility time periods take place in these markets the way that we do. Could April showers that we've seen take place recently bring us some May flowers in the charts, you guys? Not financial advice, but I know any move up that we'll get in these price charts, I'm definitely going to be looking to de-risk some of my holdings. Not financial advice, just what we're doing here on the Daily Candle Close News, because we take advantage of opportunities like this 47K we got leading into Satoshi Nakamoto's 47th birthday before we came all the way back down into April lows, and that was important because we fell all the way down to these lows into April 18th. Again, that 18 number tying us into the importance we've made behind that number tonight. But that was the tax deadline, you guys. And why did we see a 38K Bitcoin on the day of our tax deadline, April 18th? Because, well, we get that 38 in tax deadline, and then we didn't see a 42K Bitcoin again until when, you guys? We didn't see a 42K Bitcoin again until 4/20, Hitler's birthday, or Walt Disney's birthday, that 4/20 date. So we saw 42K for Bitcoin. So very important. That 42 ultimately ties us back into Saturn, being the 6th planet from the sun. 4 plus 2 is 6, but Saturn giving us that 42 in reverse full reduction. So ultimately, it's very important to pay attention and utilize this code like we're doing and implement it to the world stage news, the price charts, etc. It's truly unique. Excuse me, let me get a drink of my juice. All right, so let's go back to considering more possible dates to pay attention to in the month of May. In this April showers could bring May flowers decode for you all. An important date to consider is May 22nd, 2 days after Taurus, in the 22 year. This 2 again being very powerful this year in the 222 year. But this is ultimately, anyone that knows the truth about May, we know it's the 3rd month truly to the occult calendar, the true calendar. Okay, and that's 322. Again, skull and bones, 322. It's a day that leaves 223 days left in the year, the mirror of skull and bones number. So it's very powerful. It's a 4-month and 4-day connection before the end of the Shemitah this year, which comes on September 26, 2022. So this 44 number we just saw ritualistically take place around Elon Musk and his buy-in of Twitter. And, he bought it for $44 billion, they say, but it all came around the solar eclipse. And, we're getting that 44 in Chaldean right here. So very important. This 53 we got in connections to the Sabbath year, which is why we're seeing this. But, Sabbath giving us that 53 and 18. So very important that we see all this and we break it down using the code. So that May 22nd date is going to be very, very important to pay attention to. We know it's, again, a date that has 69 in date numerology, and September 26th leaves 96 days in the year. So this is a connection to, yin and yang, balance, duality, black and white, man and woman, It's all about balance and the yin and yang, equilibrium, and bringing balance to the mindset, the conscious and subconscious mindset. That is the checkered floor on the Freemasons logo, or this symbolism you see used by the entertainers and in the movies, etc. You see this checkered floor. That is the subconscious and the conscious mindset, the pillars of Solomon, basically. So very important. It's Jesus, Lucifer, the duality, you guys. So very important. So September 26th is, and I'll show you, so you might be able to understand what I'm saying here if you're new here and you don't know. But September 26th is a date numerology of 77 when you add it up. That's what that means. In standard date numerology, you would add 9 plus 26 plus 20 plus 22 up, and you would get the 77, leaving 96 days left in the year, the mirror of 69, as above, so below. So very important. Boom. So when we break that down even more, we know that this is all transitioning us into September 27th, which is the start of the Hebrew year 5783. And when we add that up, 5 plus 7 plus 8 plus 3 up, we get to 23. 23 is the ninth prime. We know that ties us back into Bitcoin, and the 23 we get in Chaldean, and we can even break that down even further, and it ties us back to the 9 we get in BTC and Chaldean, ultimately tying us back into the sun. We know Bitcoin is the sun. It is the overall energy of the cryptocurrency market, and look, we get that 18 again. 1 plus 8 is 9, all tying us in here. So we see why this is happening to Bitcoin this year in this market, leading into the 2023 year, the 223 year, tying us back into our homeboys and pals, Skull and Bones, next year. So you see why everything on the world stage, economy, the news, leading back 2 years now, is leading into this very powerful time period, all during this year, the 7-year sabbatical cycle. And coming out of this cycle is when they have the release, the harvest, where Saturn swings his scythe, you guys. So this is very, very important. We're about to watch this whole world change, undeniably. But we know 5783 is the 759th prime number. And when we break that down, we see that 7 plus 5 plus 9 is, 21. And that ties us back into Saturn again. So very important, undeniable, these connections we are making here. So we can go further. 759, when we type that out, we get 93 in Chaldean. So it ties us into Saturn again. With the 93 we get in English ordinal. September 29th is 2 days in the 222 year after the end of the Shemitah 5783. It's 2 days into 5783 and 2 days after the end of the Shemitah 5782, which gave us 22 when we added it out and typed it out like that. So, and all that leaves 93 days left in the 2022 year. So it's like, wow. Everything I'm going over, we'll try and expose later in, some more banger decodes, hopefully. But, boom. All right. So the last day we'll be talking about, I believe, is May 23rd through the 29th. Specifically through some connections we're seeing here leading into the new moon of May, which comes at the end of May, May 30th. We see that May 23 again is the 323 year, the 32, the 23 combined in that master number, because we know May is truly the third month of the year. But anyway, we know this is a day that leaves 222 days left in the year. So very important. We know that this is a date that adds up to 70 in numerology. And when we type out Shemitah, hopefully I've already got it typed out. Yeah, we get 70 in date numerology. This is important this year because we know that Omicron, it's, got a Greek isopsephy value of 70, and all isopsephy is numerology in Greek language. So again, we're using the English ordinal and getting 70 when we type out Shemitah here, and we saw Omicron during the Shemitah cycle, okay? All of this ties back into the 70-year anniversary of the Queen this year and her Platinum Jubilee. So all very esoteric and very important to pay attention to here. So May 23rd is going to be a very important time period, being 2 days also after the end of the Taurus and Bull Zodiac, and we're in the 222 year. In the Hebrew 5782 year, the 22 year. So very important that we make these connections. So, boom. And this date is going to be 3 months and 3 days since February 20th, 2022, the 2222 day, basically leading into Pluto's return and Platinum Jubilee, the start of the war, the duality, again, that 2-2 number, duality number right here, Master Creator Destroyer. So it's very esoteric what we're seeing take place. So last thing we'll talk about is from May 29th to the October 25th eclipse, which is 149 days. And 759, the 749 connection we brought up earlier, gives you 149 in English ordinal. So all connecting us back into the 5783 year next year. And so I know this may be confusing, but it's important to try and pay attention to how Shemitah ends, because we're in the 7th 7-year sabbatical cycle, something I've explained going back in time. And what that means is, in my opinion, we're in the 49th year of this cycle, and next year will be the 50th year, the Jubilee year, this very biblical year that we get in, financially, economically, etc., where we really see a financial reset and structure take place. And that's not just financially, that's, society and everything we've talked about in this video so far. We see this take place. So again, this sell in May and walk away is something I do not play with right now. This term is, coincidentally equaling 47, which is the 15th prime number. So we know this 47 is very important, not only because it's the 15th prime number and we're in the year of the tiger, but because when we type out Shemitah 5782, we get 47. And we just saw Bitcoin hit 47K again on Satoshi Nakamoto's 47th birthday, April 5th. Okay, that 4-5 day. And why did Bitcoin hit 47 on Satoshi Nakamoto's 47th birthday? Because Bitcoin equals 45, and that's when Satoshi Nakamoto's birthday is, the 4-5 day, April 5th. So, very important. We know April is actually the 2nd month, but what they tell us is the 4th month. So we pay attention to what they tell us, that's all. So very important. We see this is not something I'm playing with right here this year at all. That 47 ties us back into the 47th element, which is silver, which ultimately ties us back into the moon, you guys. It's always coming full circle to everything we go over here and educate you on. So all tying us back into the year of the tiger and the Jupiter. It kind of makes us wonder, in the year of the tiger, do we sell in May and walk away? I don't know. It makes you wonder, right? Makes me wonder. We'll have to wait and see. But again, we've saw last year the entire cryptocurrency leading into the first week of May. We saw, let's go back and look on the charts. May 19th, Elon Musk and his Saturday Night Live ritual, where they sold off the markets leading into this time period in the first week of May. And we saw a dead cat bounce come in and crypto sell off of more than 50% of its value. So, You know, after the entire market cap, we're in all-time highs right here. Boom. You know, we sold off 50% all in the same time frame. You know, this is very important to remember. This is no different than what's happened going back in time and all the other Shemitah cycles. You know, with everything we're seeing on the world stage, with this Russia-Ukraine news and C-19 and the monetary nonsense and the stimulus, you know, they're preparing the masses for a very important thing and time frame, financially, and we need to pay attention. I don't know what's going to happen. No one does, you know, but it's going to be amazing to watch this play out and to be here with you all, giving you my outlook on it. Trying to view this through the eyes of elite, which is what we can do here on the Daily Candle Close News. And when enough of us do that, we can then use our voices to change this realm and reality that we live in. But it's important that we understand that the market doesn't need to do and repeat what it's done in the past, or it doesn't need it to do in what we want it to do. You know, we just need to set back, kick back, relax, and enjoy the cyclical nature that we can expose in these markets. You know, again, this is not me saying that the market will top out in May or dead cat bounce in May or whatever. You know, will we hit a spring and absolutely turn around? I don't know. It's just all food for thought, you guys. But the time period coming up, with the total lunar eclipse of May 16 is where I'm personally trying to gauge when to de-risk my portfolio. And again, I'm not saying sell everything. I'm talking about taking de-risking opportunities. You know, and if the market keeps going up past May 16th and into, you know, the end of May and June, then great. You know, we might get a double top scenario in June, July. You know, we've seen this before as well in Shemitah years. But I don't care. You know, I'm going to look to de-risk around this very important total lunar eclipse, this blood moon coming up, and this very important ritualistic 2-year, 2-month, 2-day time period of May 13th. You know, the first Friday the 13th going all the way back to 2020, you know. So the only way to play this game is to play this game with no emotions, leaving them on the sidelines, is, you know, trying to be in control of this game as much as we can, you know, keeping one foot out and one foot in, you know, just being prepared for everything that there is to come. It all depends on how you've basically built your exit strategy and your blueprint. And for any of you that are interested in how I've de-risked or how I'm personally looking at exiting this market, you can get my exit strategy and blueprint that we've had built for you all in the background. So very important that you know, look into considering getting that as well. But we'll go ahead and continue to come back to today and you know, talk about Mulan and the start of May a little bit of technical analysis, and then we'll go ahead and get ready to get off of here. But I definitely hope you've all been enjoying this video that I've put together for you all, and you know, it's my MayDay special, you guys, tying us into everything that we've witnessed recently in the price charts with this bullishness that came right here around the beginning of April, and another sell-off since then. You know, right now since 2020 and the bear flu C-19, this video hopefully shows how they've been bankrupting the system, trying to create massive financial chaos, because when you create a financial problem and distress, you can increase all other problems in a low consciousness human being. And when you think about someone in a financial problem, or the average person, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, and you start adding all these problems we're seeing financially, economically, the narratives of war, etc., you really increase the anxieties in these low consciousness human beings, and you increase their poor behaviors like, you know, gambling or alcohol and drug abuse, domestic violence, etc. And when you're on the border of becoming bankrupt, broke, you know, these low individuals, they naturally start committing crimes, etc. And this is what these apex predators want, and I don't want my pioneers to give into that. We all have 24 hours in a day, so take personal responsibility for your day, for your 24 hours. What are you doing with your 24 hours? It's not what you go through, but how you come through it in life. Life doesn't happen to you. Life definitely just responds to you. And all this chaos we're witnessing on the world stage is tying us back into the chaos we're witnessing in the cosmos, and the chaos we're witnessing inside each and every one of us, because we've failed as a humanity to reclaim our power and understand that we are manifestation experts and scholars, that we are gods and goddesses, and we've got to realign our moral compass. So again, this time period that we are going through is very important. This double eclipse period, leading all the way into everything we've talked about. Muwan today being, still in the 33rd week since the start of Rosh Hashanah. All of this is very powerful. And I wanted to just give an inspirational outlook on this market and prepare you all for what we have possibly coming in the cards for cryptocurrency, stocks, etc. None of this, again, is financial advice, but I just, wanted to come out here and speak my thoughts as we transitioned into the 18th week of the year today, the start of Muwan. Again, this 18 being very powerful. So we'll have to pay attention to see what happens in cryptocurrency moving forward. Now that the stock market is open this morning, we'll have to continue to see how this week plays out. We know that we had that 2.23% increase yesterday on May 1st, the Illuminati's birthday. So it's very scripted as to why we see these things take place. We know XRP recently hit a low of 57 cents, 56 cents, which ties us back into, Society of Jesus, giving us that 56, or, it's just as easy as mind control, you guys, 56, or coronavirus, giving us that same 56. So it's all in the code, you guys. We know how important that 56 is. XRP is highly tied to the occult, and we know they utilize it. And seeing that 58 cents that we got to accumulate at, because we had target orders to buy 58 cent XRP, it's pretty unique to get that in the 22 year, in the year of the tiger, giving us that 15. So again, we were able to pack our bags at 58 cent XRP, and now we're all the way back up to 61 cents. So we're up 3 cents on our last accumulation period. So again, we've broken XRP down in this recent crown distribution top, ultimately being an M pattern, something you can all pay attention to. M's are very bearish, while W's are very bullish. When you get this first high and your second high is a lower high than your first high, then you're definitely looking to see a downside implied movement, and vice versa. When your W pattern, the first W is lower and the second one is higher, that's setting a higher low in structure, just like this was setting a lower high. So that's very bullish, as the vice versa of this is very bearish. So something to pay attention to, just real quick, M and W patterns. We knew this was a crown distributional top. We know typically XRP, it usually trades at these tops around 40 days from my research. And again, we get that 40 connection in Ripple when we type that out. So just showing you ways that have shared with you all in the past. We've made these connections, usually a 40-day transition period around its tops, right? We just exited a 40-day season or sacrifice, started on 322 and led to May 1st, MayDay. So very important. But this one was a 47-day top, and it was leading into the time period of April 5th, which was Satoshi Nakamoto's 47th birthday. So again, that 47 is the 15th prime number, and we got that 15 in XRP. So none of this is surprising when we utilize the code and we break this down on the days that we see this movement, or in advance, etc. All right. So I guess ultimately I'm going to end this with talking a little bit more about Beltane and Baal or Baal, okay, Beelzebub, which was yesterday, May 1st. We know how important that 5-1 connection is, that 51-15 connection is this year. And again, I made this connection to yesterday being 4-8, and we get that connection in the Illuminati 48. They're illuminated 48, and well, the Illuminati's birthday was yesterday, a day that adds up to 48 in numerology. So Beltane yesterday, the start of the halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstices. The summer solstice is a very important time frame. And when we type out Beltane, which was the end of this 40-day time period of the season of sacrifice, what does it give us? It gives us that 40. So that's very symbolic. We get that 59 that we get in Tiger. You know, we're in the year of the Tiger. So very unique that we see Beltane giving us that 40. But again, Beltane is tying us into the 13-day preparation and preparedness for Baal, which means Lord or owner, okay? So Baal is basically El. It is Saturn. It is the timekeeper. It is Father Time, the God of all gods. It is God, or, well, what they consider a false god in your Bible, okay? So this Baal character is very unique when we continue to break this down by the code. Yesterday being Beltane day or MayDay. It's very unique. We know, again, I've made connections to Baal being Lord or owner, and when we type out Lord, we're getting that 22 in the 22 year, that 59 that was just connecting us to Beltane, right? Baal being Lord or owner. But we get also that very powerful 16 that we know we get in Baal. So very powerful. We're in the 7-year sabbatical cycle. We're seeing that 7 right here. So Lord, owner right here. Ultimately, when we type out Baal, we remember ball. Football is played with a Baal. Baal is a Baal. Okay, we're getting that 17 that we know we get in El. Okay, this is El. It all ties back to Saturn. We know ultimately tying us all the way back into Zeus, who overthrew Saturn and is now our eminent Lord and overruler of this matrix realm and reality. And in Chaldean, we get that 21 again. Zeus overthrew Saturn, Father Time, Chronos. So it's all very unique right here as we get ready to exit. You know, the Taurus zodiac coming up on May 21st. We're going to have to really pay attention to this time frame and this month and this ritualistic period. We know this is the true 3rd month of the year, and the 21st and 22nd of this month I think is going to be very powerful. That very symbolic 3-2-1 and that very powerful 3-2-2 date. So with all this being said, I hope this has really been a video that's been able to keep you all educated and informed on what we could see taking place in the near distant future with cryptocurrency and on the world stage in general, with news around Russia, Ukraine, or possible news around this virus that we could see all of a sudden disappear like we did in 1918. It all of a sudden disappeared 2 years and 2 months after it started. And that would put us right here around the May 13th, Friday the 13th time period. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video, and with all that being said, I want you all to take care and have a blessed day. Pioneers, rise, build your legacy, and build your fortress.